killer. Redfish. What's going on, guys? Keelan here, Sanibel man, and it's a beautiful Saturday morning out here on Sanibel Island. I am at Bowman's Beach Park, and this is the kayak launch. It's been about a year since I've been in this spot, and it's a super windy day coming from the northeast. So this is our path. So starting down on the south side here, I'm gonna work all the way in through this river system. Goal is to get up to that culvert there, check out the islands, then also fish along, maybe fish along there along the end points. Sometimes this is stacked with fish, sometimes not. I haven't had a ton of success catching a lot of fish here other than around that culvert site, but I am super excited to be out here and fish today with all the wind. It's gonna be nice and blocked by these mangroves that are still, as you can see, nice and healthy. This place is known for having tons of bait. I considered bringing my casting out, but decided against it. So I'm not gonna be out here for super long, just gonna be a few hours out here on the water. It's a lot of paddling down that stretch, but super excited to see if I can get running some fish, some snook, some reds, maybe some baby tarpon. We'll see. My boy Ron just fished this recently, and he had a pretty solid day. Check out his channel, Go the Bad Word Outdoors, and this is the kayak launch. It's actually probably the best kayak launch on Sanibel. Very user friendly for all ages. Just can slide that sucker down, and as you can see, you've got the steps, mullet jumping. We've got the steps, we've got the grab bars and the handles. Yeah, very, very, very nice setup here. So super excited for the day, praising God for this opportunity. Let's see what the Lord's got in store for us, guys. Well, started the camera a little too late. Just jumped a baby tarpon. Just rolled right in front of me. Had the paddle tail. Took it instantly. Got 2 jumps out of it, and then popped off. So that was a fun way to start the morning. Wish I'd gotten that on footage, but as you can see here, these mangroves are pretty healthy. They're looking pretty good. They're nice and tall and filled in, and that's why this is such a great spot for a windy day. There will be a couple of sections I'm sure get kind of blown out just based off of the angle of the wind and the angle of the waterway here, but for the most part you're looking at pretty calm waters for this trail, especially if the wind's coming from the north or the south, because it really does, you know, impede the wind on both sides there. But they've done a good job of maintaining this waterway and making sure it stays cleared and healthy, and yeah, it's beautiful. So as I keep paddling along, I guess it would be a good time for a story time with Keelan here. And I won't share this person's name just because I'm sure they don't want the attention for this story, but one of my buddies that lives over here on this side of the island here, he was driving home, and so I'm actually working my way towards this that culvert that I was sharing about, which I've fished at a few times here on the channel. Love going there. Been fishing off and on there for a handful of years now, but he was driving back home and he heard the Lord say, so and so, make sure you look to your right when you're driving. Make sure you look to the right over the culvert when you're driving home. And that's kind of weird, but as he was driving, he looks to his right and he sees this kayak overturned and just stuff scattered everywhere, gear scattered everywhere, and instantly pulled a U-turn, parked his truck, and saw that there was a guy who had flipped his kayak and was he was like struggling to get back into the kayak. He was freaking out, and he's just really just making it worse by freaking out. He was drowning, and my buddy was like, I gotta go in there, I gotta save this guy. And so he literally jumps in the water. The water was ripping. It was an outgoing tide that was ripping. And my buddy jumped in the water, swam over to him, and like grabbed the guy's kayak, and because the guy had been like floundering about basically. And my buddy goes, dude, you're gonna be okay. Just stop shaking, stop moving. We're gonna hold on to the kayak and we're gonna go over to this spot. I know this spot like the back of my hand. I live right over here. And we're gonna go to this sandbar right here. And then we'll be able to stand up, flip the kayak over, I'll get your stuff. Let's get you calmed down, and let's get you safe. And so that's exactly what he did. And got the guy to, you know, cool off a little bit, and got the stuff, and he ended up getting the guy safe off the water, back into his, you know, he got him on the land, and then even drove the guy to get his truck. So the reason I'm telling the story is he is doing the exact same route that I did. He's not from here, or from this exact area, but the guy had parked his car at Bowman's, had paddled all the way through here, and then gone to that culvert site, but had never fished it before and hadn't fished it for a long time. And so he wasn't aware of how fast that current can go at that site, at that culvert zone. And that channel can just really rush one way or the other. And be in a kayak, it's not safe. And definitely swimming, not safe. So he went around like the corner where the mangroves kind of turn, and it goes right into that culvert site. And he had no idea the water was ripping that fast. So he tried to like backtrack and get away before he got sucked in. And as he tried to turn, his kayak flipped. And the crazy thing, he didn't have a lot of practice being able to get up and out of the kayak, or back into the kayak again, but also too, like, that current was ripping. And this is like one of the biggest miracles. So he went under the bridge with the kayak, because he was, you know, my buddy was asking, how'd you get flipped? Like, what happened? He said that he got flipped and then was like under the kayak, I guess, but he went under the culvert, like through the culvert, which some days when the tide's higher, like there's nowhere for that to go. Like you're getting stuck there. And he might have gotten sucked under and then very easily could have drowned. There's a lot of times there's trees and branches and debris and stuff in that culvert that blocks the path. I've gotten snagged in through there many times trying to fish for big snook, because a lot of times there'll be big fish under there. And by the grace of God, that kayak and himself both went through the culvert off to the other side. And then by the grace of God, my buddy, you know, had gotten that warning, saw him at that exact moment, the exact time, and then looked and saw him. So just incredible story, you know, just, you know, the Lord does work in mysterious ways. And it's crazy, you know, Holy Spirit's a real thing. And but I say that to say as well, when you're fishing in this area, if you plan on going there, if you intend on going there, you gotta be smart, you gotta be careful. I always try to give warnings of things that either I have done myself and try to stop people from doing, or what other people have done, and try to not recreate that too, because it's just not worth your life to, you know, it's when you're out here in your kayak and you're fishing, you think, oh, it's, you know, it's fun, I'm safe, but it can very easily go left if you're in the wrong circumstance or wrong situation. So try to give warnings as much as I can, but just figured I'd share that with y'all, especially since I'm doing that exact same trip right now, and praying that the water shouldn't be that strong, but we'll see. But just want to let y'all in on that. Oh. I did it instantly. Alright, so I made it around that first straightaway, and now I'm around the second one now. So this is a little bit shallower water here in the middle, believe it or not. Even though it's high tide, there's still some spots that are only a couple feet deep. So this is where you can go around the corner here, where that kind of opens up and that goes into the next section where I'll be fishing. But there's also a bunch of homes and docks. I've fished them and haven't had a ton of success personally, but we'll see how it goes over here. If fishing's a little questionable, then I might work my way over that way and try fishing along those homes over on that side. Once you hear that road, you know you're getting close. It's just around the corner here. It's a very popular spot to go to, but it's really hard to go to just because there's nowhere to park. See, horseshoe crab. It's a live horseshoe crab getting sucked away into the current. That's crazy. Never seen one of those live, or haven't seen one of those live in a long time. But back to my culvert story. So like, you see how shallow, or like how narrow that is between the bridge and the water. So talk about a miracle of that guy getting through there. Right, well, I was trying to catch some snapper at least to get rid of the micro frozen shrimp that I had. And I had tons of little snapper bites, but they were all too small and I had too big a hook probably, but that's all good. It's funny when you look at the tide chart, it doesn't look like it's that ripping of a current, but then you see that and you're like, eh. So what I'm gonna do is fish along the mangrove lines, the docks over here, kind of fish back towards those islands, and I'll check it out in like an hour or so, maybe see if it calms down. But definitely not very successful fishing thus far. Haven't really seen a whole lot going on. I'm hoping that incoming tide can help push fish in here. Oh gosh, this current killer. Redfish. Good size one too. My net is not really an available spot right now. Just gonna drag him in. Look at that guy. Thank you, Lord, right on that tree line there. This is a tan, gray colored redfish. Look at that. Beautiful fish, man. It's been slow going until that guy. That wind is cooking. I'm gonna get this guy out. See you, dude. So initially I thought there were dolphin feeding back here because I saw a lot of splashing, a lot of activity and movement, but turns out we got some manatee. This guy's cruising. This guy was going real fast. I wonder if he was mating or what. He's gonna pop up. It's right there. What's up, dude? That's a baby with them. One of the babies were just playing. It's super cool. I have a video, it's one of my more watched videos. I think it's called Snook Mayhem. I was fishing on that culvert that connects into here, and you can see during the video, you can see a manatee go through the culvert. So that's just super cool. It's super cool that they can get back here. When you look on a map and you see like just how narrow some of the waterways are, you're like, oh, it's cool, man. Manatees are incredible creatures. So something interesting about this section, this area, so obviously you see there's all these homes right on this waterway, and there are some docks and some boats, but you would think, okay, well, yeah, why wouldn't you have a boat? You're on a waterway, you're on like a, this is basically a canal that I'm sure goes to the ocean. It actually doesn't. This doesn't connect to the Gulf of Mexico, or excuse me, Gulf of America. At certain points, recently it has. I have a video, it's one of my chaos videos where it's like I'm fishing on, it's like a new pass made from a hurricane, and this is where it is actually. So this, with Hurricane Ian, and then again with Hurricane Helene and Milton, this section of this waterway actually opened up and connected to the Gulf of America, and which is great for fishing. That made this area incredible fishing wise. It was just like this channel of just non-stop fish. However, it was disastrous for these poor homes that are right here, because now they have just a complete just surge of water that just completely just decimated a lot of these homes and docks and things like that. So thankfully, following that, they've done a lot of work and they spent a lot of money on beach renourishment, and now it's back to how it was before, pre-Hurricane Ian, and which is a blessing. Obviously, I know they spent a lot of time and money. They're actually doing a lot of work right now on Captiva for beach renourishment now too. And there's a lot of controversy on that as far as, you know, where they're dredging from and how that impacts the seagrass and everything. I get that. So just from a standpoint of somebody that's a homeowner as well, you know, don't want to, you know, we want to make sure these homes have a shot to be able to survive, and if there's a way to help mitigate that, and thankfully they've been able to fix that. But it's been really interesting if you look up videos online about how the sands have shifted and how everything's changed in the last, you know, 100 years or so here around Sanibel Captiva. It's really interesting. You know, I was watching a video from the Sanibel Historical Society, their YouTube channel. They've got a bunch of just like hidden gems on just things like historical things around Captiva and Sanibel. And one of the things was talking about erosion and just how, you know, how different the sands used to be here, and how various storms, even not even hurricanes, sometimes even tropical storms, would totally just decimate some of these sand areas, and just how the islands have changed in the last, you know, several decades. It's really interesting. For a nerd like me, it makes it fun. So I'm gonna work along here and fish along this a little bit. Again, I haven't had a ton of success fishing this since it's gotten closed up, but I know there are some good dock areas, and it does get a little bit deeper there. Again, I wouldn't fish this unless it was high tide, and so it's high tide, so I'm, you know, had the redfish, had the ladyfish jump, so it's like, okay, I know the fish are actually going back into this area. Let's just see if there's any more as I get close to the beach, and I might go out into the beach a little bit. We'll see how I'm feeling. So we were talking about beach renourishment just a little bit ago, and one of the biggest things with that a lot of these conservation groups try to do is not just waste a bunch of money on sand and then for just to go back, you know, try to keep it and sustain it. And so one of the ways they do that are trying to promote dunes or mangroves, because both of those have ways of maintaining the sand and keeping the sand in that given area. And I'm pretty sure this is from one of the groups here. I don't think this was natural, just based off where I see them, but look at all the mangroves lining this shoreline here. So if I went up and over this, there's the Gulf, but this obviously keeps rolling down here. So I think they're trying to build this up to be a natural barrier again. I know on Captiva and then some other spots on Sanibel, they've really tried hard to put a bunch of different dune oriented plants to keep the sand from getting washed out in the event of a storm surge. So really interesting to see. Some areas hasn't really worked out. Other areas, like there's one spot on the north side of the island where they planted mangroves and put in these big giant barriers. That's actually kept the road from washing out. So there are some areas where I feel like they've had success. So it'll be interesting to see if this develops the way they want it to. You can see where those palm fronds, where the palms have been chopped there. And this was I think I shared this one the last time I went back this way, but this was the house one of the homes that burned down in Hurricane Milton, unfortunately. I think it was an electric fire. I don't think it was from a battery, but I'm not 100% certain. But as you can see, there's no home there. But that was one of the big scares with Milton, was people had obviously had evacuated. Not a lot of people were around, and there were a lot of electrical fires happening on Sanibel and Captiva due to various different reasons. But unfortunately, that was one of the ones that got. That's super unfortunate. Somebody's boat there. I looked down, I was like, gosh, that almost looks like a canoe, and that almost looks like a bait bucket, and that's exactly what that is. That's super unfortunate. Yeah, there's even a... Yeah, man, it sucks. I wonder if people are just storing that there, and you know, this is a high tide, so I'm wondering if they're just not expecting that to happen. That's too bad. Alright, I'm at the end of the road here from where I can go on water. And so what I'll do is I'll make a U-turn, I'll head back towards by where that culvert's at, and then I'll start making my journey back home. But it's cool checking out this, and I've actually never gone all the way by kayak to this spot here, so that's pretty cool. Very remote, very protected by the wind. As you can see, like from all sides basically, I've got mangroves or some sort of blockage. Not a lot of fish other than the mullet. Lots of bait fish around here, but not a lot of, oh, just like that. Perfect timing. But haven't really seen much else besides the bait fish, so I'm gonna work my way back and fight this wind for a little bit. Alright, so having passed the culvert and tried to fish that for about 10 minutes, the tide is still ripping in through here, and it's about to make the shift to lower tide. I saw my boy Andrew actually over there. He's fishing with one of his homies, and he was saying that blind pass has already switched. That means this one's on its way, so I'm going to keep working my way back. I'm going to fish along these mangroves here. I might go on like this side of the little bay here, and then work my way back so I can get back home. Snook. Oh, looks pretty good. And oh, I frayed off. Oh, sorry, pal. I hate that. Oh, actually, it didn't even fray. It looks like it just broke off. That's weird. Sorry, pal. Good fight though. Counts as a catch there, but hate that lure's in his mouth for no reason. Hopefully it'll just pop out, or I'm sure it'll rust out soon. But finally got one to bite and stay on. There we go. Perfect. Prior to that, I've had like, I don't know, 7 or 8 snook bites. Just they nibble at it, miss it. +2 with this current, the way it's going. It's helping me a lot right now. I'm kind of reaping the benefits of the wind right now, where it's pushing me back. I'm actually about to make that next bend to make it to the main part of the bayou, back to the kayak launch and everything. But had tons of little snook bites, and up until that guy I hadn't really had anything of notable size, so that was a blessing. Finally get to hook one, get one to jump right next to the kayak. Something else that's cool about this, you know, kayak trail and this waterway, so this is obviously the main drag here, but along the way and on the way back there are little cutaways where you can go in. There's little coves on both sections here of the waterway where you can really get away from the wind, and depending on the tide, those can be some pretty decent spots for fish. I know there have been sometimes I've been in here when it's been lower tide and a lot clearer skies, and I've been able to sight fish and see redfish intermittently, just kind of cruising about. Hard right now with the tide still being higher, even though it is outgoing now and the wind is actually working against me this way. But you can still, on some days you can actually see them cruising along, which is super cool. Alright you guys, so I put the weapon in the holster. I'm calling it as far as fishing goes. I'm about to be back at the kayak launch. Just around this corner is the bridge, and then just beyond that is the kayak launch. I'll peep around the corner so you can see. So definitely a successful day today, even though it wasn't a ton of fish caught. I still consider this a big win, and it's always a blessing just being out here, being out in God's majesty. Like, can't, you know, can't complain about that at all. It's just I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and I'm grateful for you guys for clicking on this video and watching with me. And you know, don't hesitate to comment or, you know, ask any questions about the area or about fishing, or if you have any history fishing here at all. You know, I'd love to hear it. But as far as fishing goes today was probably one of the more successful days, if not the most successful day fishing in this area specifically for me. Even though I had about 3 or 4 fish actually quote unquote landed, tons and tons and tons of snook bites. Saw some other fish too, which were cool. But specifically for this waterway, you know, with I believe it's a clam bayou is what they call this. This is kind of this has been a successful day. I've never caught a redfish in this section, and those are, even though it wasn't large on the snook scale, and the tarpon, you know, I jumped the juvenile tarpon and had some bites right off the bat this morning. I'd never had that in this section before, so again, I consider those all successes and all wins. And even though that culvert wasn't really producing fishing wise, just how strong the current was, it's funny because typically when I fish this, that's where all my eggs in the basket go, right into that culvert. But it didn't do anything, and despite that I still caught fish, which is a blessing. So I definitely will be back here. I tend to go here on crappier days too, I think, so I kind of can definitely influence it. I tend to go here when it's windy and when there's really no other option, fishing wise, so that could definitely influence it. But I definitely have a better taste in my mouth about this area. I definitely have the desire to go back and explore this and fish this, maybe in days when the winds aren't up to 15-mile-an-hour gusts. But you know, super cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and head back to the launch. I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video. Thank God for the day. Thank y'all for watching. I will catch you guys on the next video. Okay, peace guys.